Welcome to the Rise Above podcast. I'm your host, Cade Adams.
And I'm your host, Will Lambley.
Today we are joined by Emmanuel Crawford. It's a pleasure to be joined by you, Emmanuel.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And you grew up in Grove, Oklahoma?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's not. Me and Emmanuel were talking before we got on. We're kind of from, I guess, the same area in a way, because Grove is probably only like an hour from Owasso, where I'm from.
Yeah.
And we were kind of bonding beforehand because his senior year, his school just whooped a school that's in my area, Collinsville, that me and Emmanuel both didn't really grow up liking too much. And you rushed for was it 7 touchdowns? I'm sure you definitely remember how many touchdowns that game.
I think it was like 5 or 6.
Okay.
Touchdowns.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guy I was talking told me 7. It probably just seemed like 7 to him. Probably just got to a point where it was like he didn't even know. It was just seeing you run down the sideline. But yeah. So kind of growing up, has there always been a kind of like a passion for football?
It all started in 5th grade. The Little League coach lived right next to our house, and so he was like, "We need you on our team. Like, you need some speed." And so he kind of like bribed my mom into letting me play by like buying her chocolate and like, balloons. And then the next weekend I was suited up playing football. The rest is history.
Wow, that's crazy how that works. Because you always hear stories of like teams that are good, like they're just going through the streets or knocking door to door, like looking for players, and then that's actually how it ended up working. But yeah. So then, what did your family look like growing up?
So I'm the youngest of 6. And so I have 4 older brothers and 1 sister. And so a lot of getting bullied around.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
A lot of getting duct taped and like fake kidnapped, that kind of stuff.
You got duct taped?
So, yeah, I was the youngest, so I got the worst end of the stick, but it was fun looking back.
It's crazy how it turns out. It seems like a lot of like people that end up being really good football players are people that are the youngest of their family, because they're used to getting pushed around.
Yeah, exactly.
So once they're able to put on the pads, they're like, okay, now I finally get to do this to someone else.
Yeah.
As a youngest, I can attest.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
I know you talked a little bit about like your family of 6, but like how did it kind of come to be like that you were able to like meet your family? How'd that like process work?
And so my parents in like, I think it was 2010, they just felt like the Lord was calling them to have another kid. And so they got in touch with my mom's friend. Her name is Pam Cope. And she had started this organization because her son had got into a wreck and passed away. And instead of becoming a victim to her circumstances, she felt like the Lord was calling her to go out and start rescuing kids in less fortunate areas, starting these group homes and putting them in a better environment. And so I was one of those kids. I was rescued from child slavery around age 4. And then I was put into one of these organization homes, and then the connection was made between me and my family, and she was kind of the middle person who, got the ball rolling and all of that. So.
Okay, nice. So at first, you were sent to a home, and then your now mom, then she felt the Lord was calling her, and then she reached out, and then that's how you came to meet them?
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome how like God like works through different people and then like puts something on someone else's heart, and which can in turn like impact another life.
Yeah. Where was this all at? Where were you born and raised?
So I was born in Ghana, Africa. It's in the Ivory Coast. Kind of like I guess you could say north, but like kind of southern part of Africa, the continent. And then kind of the whole thing there is like most families sell their kids to, pay for stuff because the poverty rate there is insane. And so usually they'll sell one of the older kids so that they can take care of the rest of the family. And so it's kind of a trend there to sell kids to make money. But then that also causes the problem of this gigantic fishing industry of slavery and kids being put through these awful things.
Yeah, I was curious about that because for the longest time, that's all I knew was, D1 SEC football player from child slavery is from what I'd been told, and that's actually how I had come across you. Was I was talking with one of my pilot friends had told me, hey man, you need to have you have this guy on, he has this amazing story, has a great faith, and told me pretty much the basics. But I didn't know it was that young. I thought it was like a little bit older, and then like still kind of recent. But that's insane.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that you look back and your first kind of instinct is to kind of say, poor me. Like, why would God ever put me through that? But then, obviously, as I've gotten deeper in my faith and I've allowed God to kind of take that in which Satan meant for harm and use it as a weapon to, not, I guess, as a weapon against Satan, but as a testament to bring people to God, to show people, like, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you're going through, there is better days ahead. Mm-hmm. God hasn't forgotten about you just because you're in this certain valley of your life.
So that's awesome. And how would you say that your relationship with Christ, or when would you say it started?
I would say, like, from a young age, I always kind of knew that there was something, greater out there. And even though I wasn't 100% able to comprehend what I was going through in that moment, I always felt safe in a way, knowing that somebody was watching over me. But it was really made evident when I kind of joined with my family here. They're a very faith-driven family, and it was just something that I was put into immediately. But it wasn't like a pressure thing. It was like, I want to be here because I feel this spirit and this amazing power that I've never felt in my life. And then I gave my life to God in like second grade at Kanakuk, which is a Christian youth camp. And my life has been, I'm not going to say once you give your life to God, it's going to be perfect, because I've had my valleys even after that commitment, but it's definitely a lot easier. So.
And what were some challenges that you started facing even after, starting with your family now that you remember from a young age, or some things that you had to go through?
So I would say that up until my junior year of high school, I started to kind of distance myself from people, just because it was like, no one here can relate to like what I've been through and the things that I'm dealing with. And so that kind of led me into an isolation, which was bad, because you're never supposed to isolate yourself when you need the most help. But after, the whole COVID thing happened, the whole world kind of got reset, but I definitely had enough time to just be alone with the Lord and be able to talk through the things that I went through, and be able to talk through, the difficulties that we've all faced in mid school and junior high, and just be able to put those things away. And so when my junior year came up, I felt like the Lord was, really calling me to start sharing my story, because the world was at such like a kind of this like crossroad between good and evil was very evident. And, a lot of people kind of felt hopeless because, COVID took over everything. And so I started telling my story to help people realize, like, we all went through this, but, no matter like how bad life might seem right now, it's going to get better. And you need to give your life to the Lord, because He can help you through whatever it is that this has brought into your life, or whatever you're starting to face. So.
One of my favorite things you mentioned was when you said that one of the hardest things you struggle with was it seemed like no one understood what you were going through, because no one had ever been through anything like that. So you started putting yourself in isolation. But how when you started like turning to the Lord, that kind of like changed everything. And it reminds me of how like no matter like what we're going through in life, how God always knows, and like how like he's always there like for us and every season. And that's just cool how you're been able to like share with others, especially being like a Christian athlete. I think it's cool too how like you accepted Christ at Kanakuk, which is like a sports camp. Seems like sports has been such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
And I know you talked a little bit earlier about how you started playing football in the fifth grade, and starting there, were you just playing football, or was it like other sports too?
So I've tried just about every sport on the face of the planet. I thought it was gonna be Michael Phelps for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I was on a swim team.
Swimming is tough.
Yeah, I played a little lacrosse here and there. But
Would you say that lacrosse is tougher than football?
I mean, I don't enjoy getting hit with the stick. That wasn't fun. But I played baseball and basketball. I loved baseball, but over time, pitching and playing center field does a couple numbers on your labrum, so I'd have surgery and had to stop playing. And then as high school started, my freshman year, I played a little basketball, started running track, but then kind of realized like, hey, football is my thing. And so I really started focusing on, perfecting my craft, putting that extra time in, and not becoming complacent and happy with where I was at. And so that helped me build into what I was able to do my junior and senior year. So
Awesome. And kind of go on about that work ethic. Did you always have that work ethic from a young age, or was it kind of like later in high school when you started to gain like that work ethic that no matter what, I'm not going to be complacent. I'm going to be the hardest worker out here?
I would say I wouldn't say it was as much like as I was younger, because I was usually bigger than everyone and stronger when we were younger. And then, once mid school was over, everyone comes back freshman year just like humongous. And I'm like, why am I so short? And so I decided to start working on my speed and working on, contact balance, that kind of stuff. Because I know I play running back, I'm not going to be the biggest guy on the field at all times, ever. And so working on speed was definitely one of those factors that started to help me, set myself apart from everyone.
What is your 40 speed?
So the fastest 40 I ever ran was a 4.43.
Wow.
And that was my senior year in high school.
Okay.
That's crazy. Have they already like ran you on the practice team? No, not yet.
I don't think they do that. They just I think at Artsville they just tell like you're like miles per hour, right?
Yeah, they do top
really?
speed. Yeah.
But you also so I remember when I first met you back in I think that was June when I spoke to you guys. What I was most impressed with is I saw your Instagram. You had was a 315 power clean.
Yeah, 315.
Because I was like, man, high school. That's the kind of stuff I'm most impressed by, because like in football, you see a lot of guys that are fast, but then I was like, man, this guy's got 315 clean too. So I was like, man, dang.
Yeah, I know.
Cleaning now?
So we haven't really done cleans. We do more like squats, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love like things like front squat, back squat. Definitely my favorite workout.
Okay, if you like front squat, that's how you have a good clean then. Yeah, because you really have to have a good front squat to have a good.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And then going on in high school, was there like a certain point that you realized that, okay, I want to play football at the next level?
So I kind of had one of those valleys my sophomore year, because I had to have labrum surgery.
Okay.
And then as I was coming out of that, it was kind of like my love for football kind of started to dwindle. And so I sat down with my dad, and I was kind of like, hey, like, I think I'm going to call it quits, focus on other things. And he just like sat me down at the dining room table and was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I feel like this is something that you could go on to be great at. And so kind of after that conversation was the turning point where it was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, then I'm not going to just be average. And so I got a trainer. I got, people who are going to help me better myself. Because I do believe who you surround yourself with is who you become. And so I got some friends who have the same mindset and wanted to be great. And so we all kind of watched each other develop and, become the players that we became our junior and senior year.
That's awesome. I'm sure that moment with your dad is something that still pushes you today, because how he just believed in you even when you're like, I mean, I don't even know if this can happen.
Yeah, I know.
That's just cool. And are you able to like look back on that even like today?
Yeah, so actually it was funny. I turned on my camera on my phone when we were having that talk, just so I could go back and listen to it. And it was one of those things that I kind of listened to before every game as, motivation, kind of reminding myself like, hey, this is why you're here. And for me as a player, I never play for myself, because I think playing for yourself, you don't really, you can get down on yourself, but if you're playing for the fans and the people who have helped you reach that position, then you're never going to have people who are going to, doubt you. You're going to have, a group of people who believe in you, and you're going to be confident in yourself as a player. So
that's an awesome statement. It reminds me of something I share a lot when I speak. Is so many times in life we're all going to hit a wall, but when we make our life about someone else, then there's always a way to get through that wall. And that's such a great example, because like for athletes and really for anyone, any walk of life, that just remembering there's so many people out there who believe in you or are always rooting for you, even when it doesn't seem like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then in high school, was there, I know you said like that was the point whenever you started to realize, okay, I can do this like college football thing. At what point did you start like getting looks for college, or when did that come?
So it started my junior year. I started talking to like Oklahoma State, some of those kind of like smaller schools. And then my senior year, after my junior year summer, we started going to camps that summer, and kind of just testing the waters, because recruiting's such a weird field.
Yeah, for real.
It's like dating multiple people at the same time.
That's a good way to put it.
You gotta be really careful,
and especially for you during COVID, because there's so many schools were just taking transfers, and then like they could take like less scholarships and all that.
Oh yeah, no, like that was one of the big things. Was I would talk to a school, and then they would get a transfer running back, someone that's older and has more experience, but still has a decent amount of years left. And then my senior year, I didn't really focus as much on talking to colleges. It was more, let me focus on my senior season, put up the stats and numbers that I need to draw attention. But my junior year track season is when I started getting offers, and my first offer was from Navy, and then I got one from Army and Air Force. And so
once one academy, then they all start.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. On the call, he was like, "As soon as we offer you, I hope you know that the other military schools are gonna be calling you." And sure enough, within a week, they had all called me and started sending letters. So it was a really cool experience.
That's funny how that works. I like what you said there about how you were focused on your senior season, because I feel like so many kids out there like start focusing on recruitment, but I'm sure, tell me if I'm wrong, but what played a big part of that too was like, I'm sure you had a lot of teammates that you really appreciate, that you're like, I got to play the season for them too.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was definitely a factor. Our senior class was just a really close group. Most of them have been playing together since second grade. And so going out senior year was kind of a bittersweet moment. And our town was just insane. There was growth football stuff everywhere. Just the fans, and they completely redid the stadium and got us a new weight room and all this stuff our senior year, put banners everywhere. And so we really felt like, it was on us to have an amazing season, to try to go undefeated. And so, it wasn't as much pressure, but it was more fun than anything, just having all those fans and, my brothers. We were all playing for each other.
Yeah. You spoke about transfers earlier. You think now that Rocket's going, you think you're going to get some playing time next season?
So my last conversation with Coach Pitt, they want to move me to slot, and which is completely understandable. I'm more of a slot-looking type of player. It is kind of like a bittersweet, because I've been playing running back since I was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a mixture of like running back and slot, and then being kind of like a scat back type thing. Yeah. And so for me, it's just...
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think just having a guy like you on the team too, like, just helps like the culture overall. And kind of going off what he said. So I know you said you started getting offers from Army, like all the military academies were calling you. But when was it that like Arkansas started looking at you, or you started like having interest in Arkansas?
It was after my senior year. I thought I was going to go to Oklahoma State from my junior year all the way till after senior football season because I'd taken like at least 11 visits there.
Oh wow!
And talked to all the coaches, that kind of stuff.
Is that how you knew Chance from? Because I know he used to go to camps there too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And we played 7-on-7 on 2.
Oh yeah, I know Chance is on all the 7-on-7 teams, and he has a voice where it's really easy to recognize him too. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But my coach reached out to Coach Pittman after our season. He was like, "Hey, we have this kid," and I had talked to Arkansas kind of a little bit previously, but then I kind of just dropped off the radar, I guess. And my coach had sent him my film and was like, "This kid, I know he would go here because, you're from Grove, he's from Grove, and he has a good work ethic and all that stuff." And then we got in contact after that. I went on a visit, talked to Coach Pittman. I mean, just an absolutely amazing guy. And then I talked to the running backs coach here, Jimmy Smith, who's just another amazing person.
Yeah, phenomenal. Yeah, great guy. Yeah.
And, the deal was kind of sealed after that. It felt like this is where the Lord was calling me to go. So I just, texted my coach back like, "Hey, I'll be there in the summer."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's cool, especially with how God kind of worked, and that Coach Pittman went to the same high school you went to, and then Coach Smith used to be a high school football head coach. So it's probably been awesome for you. Playing for Coach Smith and Coach Pittman this year.
Oh yeah, no, it's been so much fun. The running back room you won't find another room like it in the nation. I mean, like, you usually think that, it's a competitive room and, people who are individualistic, but it's really just a brotherhood in that room. When someone does something good, we're all happy. There's not a lot of selfishness going on and, people talking behind each other's backs.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, that's one thing I really noticed from just coming to practice and knowing some of you guys in the running backs room this year. There was no egos. Everyone just wanted each other to do good. And what were some of the lessons you learned from some of the older guys this year?
To just be patient. One of my biggest concerns was my weight coming in. And, they just kept telling me, like, "Hey, like, you're going to put it on. You just need to be patient, keep working hard and, eating a lot." And so
I feel like it's every strength coach's favorite word, eat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Definitely.
Going off strength coaches so you got to Arkansas in June, right?
Mm-hmm. Or May.
Or May 19th. What were some of the biggest differences in those high school workouts, get college workouts?
I would say just the duration and the intensity in them. Our coach was pretty big on more explosive workouts. That's why we did a lot of power clean and box squat, that kind of stuff. He was big on speed, and so coming here, it wasn't like there was a big difference. We did a lot of similar things to what they do here. But I would say that the coaches here definitely have a better idea of how to build a player, kind of like a Lego, build it up, and so it's a steady foundation, and it's not just just all at once.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. I've never heard that one, but yeah, it is just like a Lego. Yeah.
Like a Lego.
And with so many coaches too, you always have someone's eyes on you.
Oh yeah, no, but I love our strength staff. They were so much fun to get to know, and they're always going to push you. But as soon as you're done with that workout, they're going to tell you, "Hey, good job. We're proud of you. We'll see you back in here the next day. Be ready. Get your mind right. Get you kind of scared for the next workout." But at the end of the day, they're all great guys.
I think that's what's cool about Coach Souders is that just the relationships he builds with the players, because you're going to want to work hard for a coach when he genuinely cares about you.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. He's definitely one of a kind, and he brought in some great strength staff with him, so we definitely appreciate that.
Yep.
I think I asked this on a previous football pod that we did, but I don't remember what they said, or even if I asked it. Do you guys get to hang out with the other specialty groups? Do you get to hang out with your linemen, your special teams, your defensive players? Do you guys get to bond as an entire team, or do they kind of keep it to the specialty groups?
So this team, at least that I went through last year, it was amazing. I thought coming in, there would be a bunch of just little groups and, people with egos and that kind of stuff. But, to my disbelief, everyone in the room was just, amazing guys. Everyone was always laughing, like it was like having a bunch of brothers, really. You make fun of each other, you joke around. And when someone did something good, we'd be proud. When someone did something stupid, we would let them know. But it was definitely, one of the best football teams that I've ever been a part of. And I hope it continues to go in that direction.
Yep. Who are some of the guys that you learned from the most this year?
I would say Pooh Paul is one of those guys that I really looked up to.
I always tell people he's just even though he's going to another school, he's someone I always root for because just a great person, and like you always knew he was going to bring it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And he was one of those guys that before fall camp, obviously being a freshman, you hear terrible things about fall camp, and like you're not going to make it through that kind of stuff. But we saw him one night before fall camp, and he just kind of reassured us, like, yeah, it's going to be hard, but like you can make it through. Like it's not anything that is too crazy. You just have to take it day by day. And so just him saying that kind of stuff really helped me. So
that's what's cool about leaders who have played a few years using their leadership role the right way, because it shows guys like you whenever after you've played multiple years at Arkansas or wherever it is, that like you will be able to have that same impact on younger guys that are coming in there that are going their first fall camp. Like, geez, what did I get myself into?
Yeah, exactly.
But, you're gonna have that same role, and what are some of like, I know you probably have like daily goals, or what are some goals that you set for yourself, whether it's in your spiritual life or whether it's out on the football field in your time at Arkansas?
For me, it would just be, always tell God what you're thankful for, like at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. I feel like sometimes we go through life and don't even realize like how blessed we are to, even be alive, breathing oxygen. And obviously going to the gym. I make it a goal to go to the gym at least once or twice a day.
Me and you were talking about that because before we got in, there was a player who played on the Arkansas football team that I ate with last week, and he told me he took 2 weeks off from working out and everything after the season. And I asked Emmanuel if he took a few weeks off, and he's like, "Oh no, I don't take any days off."
Days off. No, I love the gym. It's one of those places that you can just kind of just get away and put your headphones in and get to work, but also have time to think about like your goals and like your life and what you want to accomplish. So.
Yeah, I think it just helps you mentally too.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yes, something I've started realizing in my own life is just days I get up and work out early in the morning, I just feel so much more prepared for the day, because it's like when adversity comes, you're like, okay, I've already faced adversity going through a tough workout or just get my mind right, and then you're like, okay, I'm already ready now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I usually I've started listening to David Goggins, and makes me want to lift every weight in there, but
he says bad things about you.
Yeah, no, he's one of those guys that you got to look up to, because he's been through so much adversity, and just being able to conquer it and keep that relationship with God, and be grateful and be like a superhero at the end of the day is crazy. So
I love what you said right there about one of the biggest things in your life is just being grateful, because I feel like so many people it's almost like a lost art in the world. So many people get so focused on what's ahead in their life or what's behind, and they almost forget about what's going on in the moment. And I feel like when you forget about what's in the moment, like you almost can't be grateful, because like you forget to be grateful. And what are some things the biggest things you've been grateful for this past year at Arkansas, or just like in your life in general?
I would say just like where things started off is one thing that I look back and I'm grateful for. And some people might look at it as kind of like an anchor to my life, but I look at it as something that boosted me. I'm grateful for my family, my teammates, just, like the typical things that you should be grateful for, like being alive, that kind of stuff. Just life. Like life is really a beautiful thing. And what the world tries to tell you is that it's a dark thing, and the world's going to crap, and you should be afraid. But living in fear never got anyone anywhere.
That's right, man. That's a good word right there. I love that.
That's awesome. Choose to look at life as a beautiful thing, and at the end of the day, bad things are going to happen, but
I'd say that's a prime example of rising above. I mean, that's what this whole podcast is about. That is awesome, dude. That's one of the best things I've heard on here.
It reminds me of the verse in James 1, verses 2 through 4, which says, consider it pure joy when you face trials of any kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its race so that you may be complete and lacking nothing. Because just like you said, how we know trials will come, but when we have that relationship with Christ, it can produce in us something we didn't even know we had, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And trials and tribulations make you a better person, because if you weren't to go through hard things, then why would you ever need God? Is how I see life. So
yeah, that's awesome. And then going on with our next question, what would you say? I know you just talked about something that's kind of an anchor for you is knowing where you started and just being grateful for what you have now. Would you say that that's a big part of your why and why you keep going every day?
Yeah, definitely. On my phone lock screen, actually, when I go to the gym, I change it to this photo of me the first day I got rescued. Kind of just as a reminder of you're here, but this is where you started. And it kind of allows me to look back on all of the things that have happened up until this point, and being grateful for everything that I faced along the way, and all the good times and the bad times. So it kind of just gives me motivation to go to the gym, go do things that are out of the ordinary, talk to people who, are frowned upon to talk to. Because one of the greatest things in Christ's life as he was here was he talked to people who, the average Christian would shame you for talking to. And I look at people as we're all experiencing life for the first time. And so why make someone else's life hard when they're experiencing life just like you are for the first time? So
that's a powerful word. I love that, because like you said, how Christ reached out to those that not many people were even willing to reach out to, and just going out of your way to reach out to those that maybe others wouldn't, because there's so many people in life that we come across only one time, but in that one moment, we never know how we could change the trajectory of their life by just being a giver, not a taker. And we just can't thank you enough for being on with us today. And as we're ending, there's going to be someone listening to this podcast today that is going through something where they just feel hopeless, like all hope is gone. Life just isn't going in the direction they want it to go. What's a verse or just a message that you would leave them with?
So my whole mantra, my junior year till now, was always don't be a victim to your circumstances, but be a conqueror. So don't allow where you are, what you've been through, to continue to hold you in this prison that you made in your mind. Because things only have as much power as you give them over your life. And so when you take those things, you give them to God, and God makes them into a weapon for you to use to touch other people and bring other people closer to Him. It completely changes your perspective in your life.
Oh, that's good. And you said God uses our trials whenever we take them to Him as a weapon to use for other people.
Yeah,
I've never heard that's awesome. I'm definitely gonna be using that. But yeah, that's awesome, because I feel like there's so many people that feel like whatever their trial is in life, it's just a disadvantage, and they're just gonna be in their situation for the rest of their life. But I think that's what's awesome about what you just said right there. With Christ, that doesn't mean life's gonna be perfect, but what He can do is turn your bad adversity to a weapon to help others and show them that there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel. When you have Christ and you know that He is greater than anything that we will ever face. And again, we cannot thank you enough for being on with us today, Emmanuel.
It was awesome having you on. Come and spit absolute heat for 45 minutes. It's been an absolute blast.
Thank you guys so much. Anytime I get the opportunity from God to just be able to speak, I always take it, because, why have something good and keep it to yourself?
Yeah.
And so
that's what's awesome. And that's one of my favorite things too about like some of the stuff you put on your Instagram or Snapchat story, like the verses or videos. It's like whenever I listen to them, it just like gets me fired up. But yeah, that's awesome. And we can't thank everyone enough for tuning in to the Rise Above podcast. You can check out our podcast on all social media platforms, where it's Instagram or wherever you tune into on social media, or any podcast platform, or on YouTube. And know that as you go through your week, no matter what you face, when you go to Christ, you can always rise above your storms.
Guys, it has been an awesome past few minutes speaking with Emmanuel, and like Will said, we are absolutely so grateful for him coming on. We're absolutely so grateful for you tuning in. We hope to see you next week, Wednesday. Every week we have this thing drop at 12 p.m. and it's a blast.
Or a little after.
Or a little after. It depends on when we can get to it. But we look forward to seeing you guys next time, and we'll see you.